Hello, my name is Heather Brown, and I'm an ESOL teacher in Decatur County. Some of the things we will be discussing today are the teacher brochure, teacher magnets, access scores, TPCs, which are accommodation documents for ESOL students, and the WIDA can-do descriptors. We will also be discussing academic language cards and spectacular speakers and writing rock stars. We generally serve between 150 to 200 ESOL students. We have 6 ESOL teachers in Decatur County: Lindsay Jarrett, Vivian Burke, Charlotte Thomas, Candace Merkerson, Joseph Sarpong, and Heather Brown. If you have any questions or concerns or need clarification, please see the ESOL teacher at your school.
Hello, my name is Candace Merkerson. I'm an ESOL teacher at Potter Street Elementary School. An EL learner is a student whose primary language is something other than English. The English speakers of other languages, those are the classes, the educational support programs that we provide. Just because a student is EL does not mean that they're ESOL. That does not mean that they're going to be in that class, but it does mean that their primary language is something other than English. English language proficiency is how competent they are in the English language. And the testing participation committee is the TPC, that is the accommodation plan. It's basically our form of like an IEP. It gives them accommodations in the classroom as well as during testing. ELM, you may see that in Infinite Campus. That means that they're monitored. They have to be monitored closely for 4 years. We will be able to bring them back into service if they're struggling within 2 years, if we deem that it is indeed a language issue. However, just because they struggle does not necessarily mean that it falls back on the language. They could just be struggling in reading or math or whatever it is, just like any other child would. ELF is another code that you may see in Infinite Campus. That means that they were an English language learner formally. They have surpassed the 4-year mark. Federal and state laws require that we have to identify students, and the way that we determine eligibility is that when a student enrolls in Decatur County school system, their parent fills out the home language survey. Any language other than English on the home language survey, they're an automatic referral to an ESOL teacher at your school. Just because they are a different ethnicity does not necessarily mean that they're eligible. There's a purple sheet that we use. It's the student recording form. Those are to be completed each 4.5 to 9 weeks. There is a request for translator card to ask for or to get. The parent would just bring that with them to a meeting if they needed it, so that we would know that they need a translator. Decatur County offers a phone translation service via Language Line. There's a folder in the intranet for the instructions on how to use it. This can be used on any phone device. And there are teacher magnets that contain the ESOL contact information for the ESOL teacher at your school. It has their phone number at school as well as their email address.
I'm going to talk about the WIDA access test. All schools are required to monitor progress in the acquisition of English and provide appropriate instruction in an ESOL class. The WIDA access is a statewide assessment adopted by the Georgia Department of Education. The access measures English proficiency rather than academic achievement. This test is administered to all students who are currently eligible for EL service, whether they are in an ESOL class or not, during the designated testing window from January to March. Continued eligibility is then determined and notification occurs before the end of the school year. Displayed on the screen is the WIDA score report. Students are evaluated in the 4 areas of speaking, listening, reading, and writing. The domains shown on the screen are all the areas of WIDA's 4 English language proficiencies. The overall composite score determines whether or not a student continues or tests out of the program. However, students will have to score an overall score of 4.3 to 5.0 in order to test out of the ESOL program. This is also where we get the can-do descriptor information that is provided to you if you have an EL student. A copy of this score report is placed in each child's permanent record for your convenience.
All right, good morning. My name is Joseph Sapon, an ESOL teacher at Bembridge Middle and Hetto Middle School. I'm here today to talk about the TPC, and what TPC stands for is Testing Participation Committee for EL Learners. EL learners means English language learners, kids that come to the United States that don't speak any English. And the TPC is basically an accommodation documentation that we keep on kids that qualify. And we determine the accommodations based on the access or the WIDA screener. Not every kid would or qualifies for an accommodation based on the testing. On the TPCs, you find the student name at the top. You have the schools. So the school, like for instance, I said Bembridge Middle and Hetto Middle School. So I'll circle whatever school that it is in, and then the grade level. On the bottom here, if they have, let's say they just come into us from another school or from another country, we are required to use the WIDA screen. Every teacher that's going to serve that kid will be given a copy. So they're required to have it in every academic area. Bottom here, what's listed is they'll have ESOL, they'll come to me to ESOL classroom, or if they have accommodation, they're supposed to have a small group testing.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Jarrett from Bainbridge High School. The way we figure out which type of accommodation is by using multiple influences and multiple data points to be able to provide them with the best possible way to access their intelligence. One of the data points is, like Ms. Murkison said, the purple RTI form that we send out at the 4.5 and 9 week mark. At the high school, it's the Google form that you get via email. So we ask for your input. We ask for what you're seeing in the classroom. This form also allows you to tell us if the accommodations that we gave are working or not working. The summative data point that we use is the access score. And the access score is plotted onto this can-do descriptor chart that WIDA has provided. Looking at accommodations, you have domains: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So if they are low in the reading section, but they're high in the listening section, then that means that they're very good at processing information while listening to it, but not so good at reading it and comprehending it on their own. So one of the accommodations that we might give them might be read aloud, where they're getting somebody else to read it to them so that they're listening to it. The other good use about these can-do descriptors is that it differentiates your lesson plans for you. So if you've got a particular assignment that is going to go into one of these domains, the listening, the speaking, the reading, or the writing, you can look on this can-do descriptor, figure out where your child is, your student is. Let's say you've got Jose on level 3. Well, Jose can match main ideas aloud just from listening to what you said. You can expect those 3 things out of him depending on what you're asking him to do. Now, the way that you differentiate this, obviously this is what he can do, right? So the way that you differentiate this is you go to the level 4 box and figure out if there's a couple of things out of the level 4 line or the level 5 line that you want. Level 5 obviously is challenging him. Level 4 is where we want him to go because we want him to show growth. You take those statements out of those boxes and you figure out which one would match your lesson or what you're wanting the kids to do. Same thing in the speaking level. If you've got a child that's in level 2, you look at what level 2 says, and again, this is something that they can do. So they've already proven that they know how to do what's in level 2's boxes. So our job is to push them to level 3, level 4, level 5, right? Then this is the reading and the writing section of it. Same kind of thing, the way that you use this. You see where your student falls on your can-do descriptor. It allows you to figure out what they know. It allows you to differentiate. And then it allows you to help us create our spectacular speakers and our spectacular writers.
Each year, the ESOL team examines the results of our access scores. What we have discovered is that our speaking and writing were the lowest of the 4 domains. We have decided to purchase Team Toolkit to address these areas of weakness. We will chart each student's individual growth throughout the year and compare access scores from the previous year. We hope to see more growth in these 2 areas. Classroom teachers, please do not hesitate to ask your school's ESOL teacher for research-based strategies.
Troy suggested that you contact your ESOL teacher for additional resources on how to help engage your ESOL students for making them better speakers and better writers, and focusing really on that part of instruction with them. One of the resources that we have that we use are the Language for Academic Discussion and Collaboration cards that we got from Kate Kinsella. Every teacher in Decatur County got a class set of these cards. If you did not get a class set, then please let us know, but especially now with the way that we are having to digitize everything, I would like to show you how to use these, even though we may be on the computer, or even though a lot of your students are going to be on the computer and you're trying to minimize sharing. What you can do is you can go to the Decatur County website, you scroll down all the way and you hit the little person. This is the signing into our intranet, and this is where our cards are located, is on the intranet, so it's constantly available to you. The cards are in a PowerPoint format, and I'm going to show you how to change that into a PDF format so that your students can't change them. Scroll down to the very bottom of the central one. You have all of these additional resources. If you click on Language for Academic Discussion and Collaborations cards, it will give you a PowerPoint to open up. Click Enable Editing to be able to go to the Save As. And then right here where it says PowerPoint Presentation, if you will click the down arrow, you can get it into a PDF form where they're just going to open it up and it's not going to allow them to do anything with it. They're only going to be able to see it. They can zoom in on it, they can download it, but it will not change what it looks like. So if you want to put this in your Google Classroom as an extra resource for your class, when they can click on that particular resource, when you want them to have a discussion about a topic, or if you want them to have a certain discussion with you in the way that you want them to speak, then they can open up the PDF rather than the actual PowerPoint. Okay, so the way that these cards are effective is because it gives them sentence starters. There's several times where we stop as humans and we don't really know what we're trying to say or how we're trying to say it. This card not only switches their gears into, okay, I am in school, I have to be a scholar. I am in an academic setting, so I need to switch my brain to academic sentences. And that's what these cards are good for, because it allows them to switch off social register and puts them into the academic register. The cards are broken into different sections, as you can see. We know right now people do not know how to deal with somebody that disagrees with them. And so if we want them to be able to shift that mindset and be able to agree with somebody who has a differing opinion, then we can use number 5 to kind of guide that conversation and practice those interactions. There is a second version of the card on the website. Academic Interactions Bookmark. This is what it looks like. I'm going to go ahead and pull it up for you. This is just a shorter version of it where you can fold it and again it becomes a bookmark. And it's got some different levels to it. If you'll notice with number 2, it says asking for help. They're not sitting there saying, I just don't understand. That is one of the hardest things as a teacher to have a student say, because you have no idea where that understanding is broken. And so when you've got this card that says asking for help and it specifically says, did I spell that correctly or did I spell blank correctly, it guides you as a teacher to be able to better effectively communicate with that student and clear up their misunderstanding. If you guys have any questions, or if you would like any of the resources that we have, or if you want to discuss with us how we use any of these resources in our classrooms, we would be more than happy to answer any questions that you have for any of the resources that we've shown you or that we've provided for you. Thank you for your time and have a wonderful day.